we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break Podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Pop Culture Cosmos, the Lakers Fast Break, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our shows, and if you can, please give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Let's see if you can like, subscribe, share, follow, whatever you can do to support us here at the Lakers Fast Break. Also as well, Rafael's great shows, the Run the Floor podcast and NBA Draft Junkies, and of course, LakerHolics.com. It is truly appreciated. I want to also give a big shout out before we go into our preview that if you didn't get a chance yet, please, on this Lakers Fast Break channel, either on the Lakers Fast Break on Facebook Live, Lakers Fast Break on YouTube, or the Lakers Fast Break wherever you get your podcasts, check out Monday's episode where I got a chance to sit down with Jeff Pearlman, author of the #1 sports biography, Three Ring Circus, detailing the early dynasties, the dynasty of the early 2000s with Kobe, Shaq, and Phil. So you want to go ahead and give that a listen. It was a great conversation I had with him. It's available now wherever you get your podcasts. Well, it's almost upon us. It is the NBA Finals. It's coming out here on Wednesday night. We're looking forward to it. I'm so excited. The Lakers are back in the NBA Finals after 10 long years. LeBron, AD, and the crew are ready to match up against the Miami Heat. And here to break down the preview today are two great guests indeed. Hoping for some more. We thought we had more, but due to technical difficulties, right now we're short one. But right now we've got two great guests indeed. First, I want to start off with my good friend, Mr. Rafael Barlowe. He is the man behind NBA Draft Junkies. You got to check out what he's doing today at NBADraftJunkies.com, NBA Draft Junkies on YouTube, or check out his most recent appearance on Knicks Fan TV. It is the superstar himself. It is Rafael Barlowe. And Rafael, hopefully one day you'll send me your autograph. I like to throw you off, man, before I get you on the air.
I can mail it. I can mail it to you.
Okay.
Do a DocuSign.
Yes. No worries. But yes, I wanted to ask you, my friend, first off, before I hit up Magic Man, I want to ask you this. When it comes down to the NBA Finals, the first thing, when you just look at the stats, you look at what's going on with the rosters, you look at the two teams and how they match up, the first thing that jumps out at you?
AD versus Bam.
Very good start.
Even though, well, I guess you're looking at the roster, but to me, it's really Bron versus Riley or Bron versus Bo, Bron versus the Heat. But yeah, Bam versus AD is going to be an interesting matchup. I think AD wins that. It's hard to beat AD in a head-to-head matchup. I think that Bron is going to win his matchup, but I just think it's the role players, everybody else that is going to be key.
You're right. It is going to be key as far as what's going on with the finals are concerned. I will say also as well, we've got here, he's one of the blog editors for LakerHolics.com. You got to go ahead and be part of the conversation today at LakerHolics.com. And Sean, a.k.a. Magic Man, Sean Grice, I want to ask you this. What's the first thing that sticks out to you when it concerns the Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers?
Well, what concerns me, Gerald, is what you mentioned in the last podcast we were with together, is the versatility. I mean, even though their three-point shooting percentage has dipped a little bit, they still play a brand of defense that lends itself to, I would say, other multiple possessions, like 50-50 balls, hustle plays. We play a tough brand of defense as well, but I don't think we're going to outwork them as far as the intangibles go.
Well, I want to ask you this because the Lakers, they're the top rebounding team in the NBA right now. That's obviously one of the two teams. Let's just say of the two teams, and whatnot. But the Heat go to the free throw line more than any other NBA team. I think it comes down to what both do best. Which one can get closer to the other? can the Heat keep up with the rebounding prowess of the Lakers, or can we cut down the number of free throws against the Heat? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I agree. Jimmy's been eating really well this year, and he's sort of changed his game a little bit because he's living more from the line right now. Mm-hmm. I remember those old series, talked about old, when he was with the Bulls and he was up against Braun, and he might have like 8 to 10 field goal attempts a quarter just to try and keep up with LeBron's pace. And now he's averaging, I think he's averaging less than 15 in the playoffs this year. So, I mean, he's really efficient. They're really efficient from the line. And I think you're right, Gerald. I think it's going to be a matter of just, do our fundamentals rebounding beat their, ability to get to the line?
And also here with me today is a good man indeed. He is the mastermind behind LakerHolics.com. Please be part of the conversation today. Once again, at LakerHolics.com. It is LakerTom. And LakerTom, I posed the question already to Rafael and also Sean Grice, a.k.a. Magic Man. I want to hear from you now, my friend. The first thing that jumps out to you when it concerns the Heat and the Los Angeles Lakers.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Tom.
Okay, good, because I'm on my phone now. Technology's really been today. I lost internet connection on my laptop.
Yes.
I think the first thing that jumps out at me is I don't know how the Heat is going to manage when the Lakers play Dwight Howard at center. And because it's going to put them into a very tough situation where I think they almost have to change their starting lineup. Because there's no way that they can guard the front court of LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Dwight Howard with just Bam Adebayo, Jay Crowder, and Duncan Robinson. There's no way that that's going to work. Adebayo's got to guard either Howard or Davis. So what's the solution? The solution maybe is probably to make a substitution, but even then, the substitution that they make isn't really going to answer the problem. They have a difficulty with the roster that they have and the style of play that they have. They have two guys on that starting lineup who are really non-shooters. Their 3-point shooters are shooting as a team 0.2 of a percentage point higher than the Lakers are at this point in time. Their best two shooters, Hero and Robinson, are not shooting as well as Rondo, Morris, and KCP on the Lakers. So I think they've got a real tough situation with the matchups. It's just a bad matchup for them. And I don't see how, their only hope probably is for Frank Vogel to start JaVale McGee, who they can ignore. Try to take him out on the 3-point line and try to beat him 3 against 2.
You're so cold.
But I don't see them being able to match up at all with the Lakers front court.
You're such a cold man when it concerns JaVale McGee. I'll tell you, he will not be sending you any Christmas cards this year, that's for sure. But then again, Rondo may not be sending it to me either. But need I digress. I want to go ahead and ask you, Rafael. I mean, like you were talking about with Bam Adebayo versus AD, I don't think that's going to be a case we're going to see it as much as you think you would. Simply because of the fact that, like Tom was alluding to, Jay Crowder might see a lot of time against AD. I know we might see Kelly Olynyk. We might see maybe even Myers Leonard go up against AD just to try and get him into foul trouble. So I want to hear your thoughts on this actual matchup between the two, because it's interesting to see who they will match up against AD. Or do you think they might even go throw some double teams out at him?
Yeah, I definitely think that they'll throw some double teams. You'll see some zones. You'll see, you might see some gimmick defenses. I think that, I think it's going to be an interesting series. Like I said, AD is going to win the individual matchup. It's just a matter of his efficiency, in my opinion. If he's getting 25 on 23 shots, or if he's settling for a bunch of jumpers, which he's been knocking them down.
Yeah.
And so far in the playoffs, But this, in my opinion, is his toughest matchup as far as on the defensive end.
Do you see that being the case, or is when it comes to as far as maybe I don't know, just a lot of jump shots from AD because he's very effective at the elbow, at the free throw line. It's when he gets out into the 3-point line it's been kind of sketchy because, overall he's during the season, about a 31% shooter. But, if that's the way the zones that might be thrown out against the Lakers, that might be what's necessary. Or do you think you can effectively find a way to get into the middle and break down that Heat?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Lakers have the talent to really solve any defense. I've always felt like if there is a way to limit AD is to be physical with him and kind of beat him up. And I think Miami has the guys that will be physical with him and, just kind of make life a little tough for him. I thought Millsap did a good job in a couple games, but AD is just he's just a load for him. But I think Miami's just going to, I think Crowder's going to be physical with them. I think obviously Bam. So yeah, and then Olynyk, he's dirty, and we've seen him.
He's ripped out an arm or two.
Yeah, so. I'm not saying that he'll do that, but I think it's going to be a physical series, probably the most physical series the Lakers have had in this playoffs. It's Pat Riley team, and it's even though he's not necessarily the coach, but I wouldn't be shocked to see some ugly basketball. I wouldn't be shocked either way if it was a high scoring series or if it were some games that barely reach 105 points. I wouldn't be shocked either way.
I want to ask you this, Magic Man, real quick before we get to you, LakerTom. I want to ask you this. Do you see a possibility of the Lakers getting behind the zone with a lot of alley-oops? Because obviously the alley-oops have been something that's been a great weapon at times in the playoffs. Sometimes these teams just say, you know what, there's not going to be any lobs against us, and we're just going to go ahead and pack the paint so you will not be able to do any lobs against us. And then Lakers have had to beat these teams other ways. But when we've seen with the zone, one of the things that teams have been able to do, i.e. Boston and some of the other teams that they've been able to go ahead and compete against, I know they didn't throw out zones too much in the first two rounds, but when they tried to do against the Boston Celtics, one of the things that they did as far as effectively I saw Boston do was throw up some alley-oops, throw up some lobs on the back end as long as you have some cutters. Do you see that as an effective way to beat the zone or at least to get them out of it?
I could, but I really think that Spo's kind of a mastermind when it comes to not making the same mistake twice as far as defense goes. I don't
think transition points are going to be as easy as they were in previous rounds for them.
No, I don't think so either. So I think you're right, Gerald. I expect more of a slog, like the first couple of games. And you're right, it could pick up offensively, I think, because I do see an elongated series. But I think you're right. I think we could see a defensive battle the first couple games because of the tentativeness, the ability of the Heat to just keep scrapping away. Again, I keep emphasizing the fact that even though they struggle a little bit 3-point shooting wise, they're still able to come up with multiple stops defensively that they compete and they try and outwork you. This is a Pat Riley special right now. And I think that we're going to get their best. This is the best of the East, the best of the West. I know the media and a lot of the fans wanted to see the Celtics. A part of me did too. But I really wanted to see the Heat because I know that LeBron wants a piece of Pat Riley.
Well, I can tell you right now, for me, it was not any nostalgia, although I cannot stand the Celtics. I will tell you this.
For me either.
I'm looking at it objectively. I just thought the Celtics were an easier matchup because there was no way there was no way they were going to stop AD with anyone that they have. And
No.
LeBron could just bowl over anyone that they have as far as from a standpoint as far as who's going to guard him. So Smart couldn't have kept up with him, et cetera, et cetera. But need I digress? They're not here. Miami is. One of the things, LakerTom, I wanted to ask you is in regards to the versatility that I had spoken about before, that Magic Man just mentioned that Rafael and I talked about, because they have not one, not two, not three, not four, not five, not four, but five players that can score on you in bunches. Now, mind you, they don't have that one-star player. Jimmy Butler doesn't always go and hit the stratosphere each and every game, nor is he relied upon it on that team. And that's the beauty of the Miami, is that they don't have to have Jimmy Butler score 20 or 30 each and every game. He scored a dozen points on a couple of occasions in the playoffs, and the team has been just fine. So I want to hear your thoughts on how much of a problem this will be for the Lakers as far as their versatility on Miami is concerned.
Well, I think the flip side of that coin, Gerald, is the NBA Finals are won by superstars. They're not won by egalitarian teams.
Tell that to Detroit.
Players who are equally able to score. You got LeBron James and you got Anthony Davis. They are by far the best two players in the series. You can argue as much as you want that as the Heat try to claim that they have the next 10 best players or 7 best players or whatever. But it all comes down to how are they going to stop LeBron James and Anthony Davis. There's a reason why 9 out of 10 of the Sports Illustrated writers voted the Lakers to win. There's a reason why Las Vegas has them as the heavy favorites.
Well, not as much anymore. I will tell you that there's a lot of money going on Miami, and that there's a lot of analysts out there that are picking the Heat in 6 or 7 games.
It's okay.
It's not going to happen. The Lakers are by far the superior team.
I didn't say it was going to happen. I'm just telling you what's out there.
Yeah. But that's still, I mean, they're seeing some good odds. There's good odds, and a long shot that they think could come out and win. But the real reality is that this is LeBron James' opportunity, Anthony Davis's opportunity, and the Los Angeles Lakers' opportunity to win their 17th NBA championship. And they're not going to go into the series flat. They're not going to go into it overconfident. They're playing their best basketball right now. And if you put Dwight Howard in the lineup along with those two guys, and better three-point shooters at this point in time in the playoffs than the Heat have, I don't see any way that the Heat can match up with the Lakers. It comes down to the matchups and superstars.
There you go.
Who's going to guard Dwight Howard? You
go ahead.
Have Adebayo guard A. Who's going to guard Howard?
Go ahead, Sean.
Who's going to guard LeBron?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, no, Gerald, mentioned Detroit there. I just wanted to bring something up. And again, some people might call this Lakers exceptionalism, whatever. But we remember that we lost in 5 games to Detroit. The next season, we missed the playoffs. Well, this year, my friend, the Lakers went from missing the playoffs all the way to the NBA Finals, and we're the only team to bookend that particular little factoid in NBA history.
That's a good point, indeed. Rafael, I want to ask you this real quick. When it comes to LeBron and who's guarding him, that's also a note of contention, because Andre Iguodala, this is one of the reasons why they got Andre Iguodala, and also Jay Crowder, and also have Jimmy Butler. I know it's not the Iguodala of 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago possibly, although he did have a great game in their last game in Game 6 against Boston, which is probably one of his first really, really strong games for the Miami Heat. But I want to hear your thoughts. Can anybody really slow down LeBron at all on the Heat outside of going to just a fierce double team on him every time he has the ball?
No, I don't think anybody can slow LeBron down. I mean, the only time I've really seen him slow down was when Dallas ran that tricky zone man defense. But I do think Miami has the defenders that they can throw at him to, just kind of make things a little bit difficult for him. Even though, like everyone says, the Iguodala's not the player of old. If I remember correctly, he's been injured with the hamstring or whatever injuries in the last few finals. So I think we might see like the best version of him since 2000. Was it 15 that he won the MVP?
I think so.
So yeah, I mean he's well rested. He's probably played 20 games this year
at the most.
I mean, I think that he could be a liability on the offensive end, but for whatever reasons, like he always hit timely big shots with Golden State. And I think even was it the last game?
4 for 4
all of a sudden, yeah. So I think that he's I think he's someone that could have a real impact in the series. I mean, Crowder, he's physical,
and he's either been fiery hot or ice cold here in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's just not.
He started off hot.
Yeah,
started off hot.
Now it's icy cold.
Yep. But yeah, I mean, I think LeBron is going to get his points. I mean, I personally want to see aggressive Bron from game one all the way on, none of the passive stuff. If there's been games we saw in this playoffs where you can tell in the first minute of the game, all right, he's looking to come in and dominate this entire game, and then there's games where he's just going to get his 25 points in the flow of the offense. I think this series he needs to enforce his will from the opening tap. And I mean, I can say the same for Jimmy Butler also, but, LeBron is obviously he can turn it on at any given time. I think, with Butler, it's definitely not going to be as consistent, but yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be a good series. I think that, Miami's just been so underestimated all year. And I feel like they're going to go into this finals knowing that most people are predicting them to lose. And so I think that's going to fuel them. And I just, got to make sure the Lakers don't get too overconfident. I mean, the fans are.
Yeah.
But
I mean, on a social media standpoint and a fan standpoint, obviously it's been overwhelmingly LeBron, Lakers, whatnot. I'm just saying from a betting standpoint and also as well from what I'm seeing in the analysts out there, more and more analysts are picking the Heat in a long series right now than I was surprised in seeing personally. But then I also see the numbers shrinking as far as it's concerned because so much money is going right now on the Heat in Vegas. LakerTom, are you there, LakerTom?
He looks frozen.
Yeah, he looks frozen right now. So I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding, of course. But Sean, I want to ask you this, my friend, since LakerTom is not available. When it comes to the size matchup, do you think the Lakers will stay big, or do you think it suits them? Because they've seen a version of them small and go 5 out, and you've seen versions where they go big and go all in on that. What do you think is going to be best to suit them right now coming up in the finals? Do you think stay with Dwight, possibly even adding some McGee in there, keeping them as far as 2 bigs for as long as you possibly can, then closing out with AD, or do you see something different?
Well, I'll answer that question, but I'll ask you a question first, Gerald. How many minutes do you expect Bam Adebayo to play during the finals?
I expect him to play 35 to 40 every game.
Yeah, so I'd expect to see a lot of at least 2 of the 3, LeBron, AD, and Dwight, at least 2 of the 3 on him most minutes. And I expect either AD and Dwight to, I think I'm comfortable as a Laker fan with either one of those guys coming up to Bam at the 3-point line, because I know either one of them can recover to the free throw line, and I know that the perimeter defense with LeBron, he's like a saltwater crocodile when he sees somebody with the ball in their hands. He literally is running at them like a saltwater crocodile, and people are scared. Here, you take it. It's literally amazing to see a guy at 35. I didn't even see Jordan do this. And I remember Michael Jordan in his prime as a defender. I didn't see guys get scared to run off a 3-point line when Jordan came in. I'm seeing it with LeBron James.
I'll tell you what, this saltwater crocodile thing, man, this got me kind of scared. I've been in Florida and seen the saltwater crocodiles, so I don't know. They might be. They're lurking somewhere around where they're at down in Disney. So They are lurking around there.
Absolutely. And the thing about them that's crazy is they can jump their whole body out of the water.
Absolutely. I think LakerTom is still having issues because we're probably seeing him right now at probably, one frame a second. LakerTom, do we have you here? Are you there?
LakerTom is on AOL.
Yeah.
Can we hear you, Laker? Oh, there he is.
Yeah, 2800 baud modem. There you go.
He's got the disc.
Oh, this show is going off the rails. LakerTom, you there?
Ground control to me.
I guess not. So before we head on out, it looks like this is going to be a no-show for LakerTom. I feel real bad for him because he was really excited for this. Also, Jamie Sweet, want to give him a big shout-out as well. I know he wanted to be here. I know hopefully tomorrow night we will have everybody okay with their internet.
So, Gerald, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, LakerTom. Ground control to LakerTom, as Sean would say. Can you hear us?
LakerTom?
This is awesome for live video. All right. Well, before we head on out, I want to go ahead and update what you're working on, Sean, but also as well want to hear what you're going on with you, Rafael. LakerTom, are you there? Last call, last chance, last opportunity, my friend. Are you there? Yeah, we're seeing you just having some issues there. Got to call that cable company tomorrow. I know that's probably the first thing for you. Believe me, that's some things I've had to deal with in the past too as well. Hey, Lakers fans. Looking for the best place to go for up-to-date news, information, original videos, articles, podcasts, opinion pieces, and discussions about the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, look no further than LakerHolics.com. With a legion of followers always there talking about everything Lakers and the NBA, there's no better place to go to share your fandom as the team heads toward another championship run. So stop by and be part of the conversation today at LakerHolics.com. Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
The better that these Marvel films do, the higher the standards are going to be for not just other films in general, but other Marvel films also.
I think it's really hard to end a show with this many fans in a satisfying way.
That's the Pop Culture Cosmos Show.
And the PCC Multiverse.
Playing worldwide on radio 7 days a week and wherever you get your podcasts. But, Rafael, before we head on out, my friend, what are you up to at NBA Draft Junkies?
Just updating content. I did a show yesterday on Knicks Fan TV. It was interesting. It was my first time doing a live show. It was live stream on YouTube. I've done that before, but where they had callers. So that was actually pretty interesting. And, you know, all the callers, it was comedy. It was a fun show. So, I didn't get a chance to put a video up that I wanted to, but I should have it up tomorrow. But I will have another international prospect up. And then today, my days are all mixed up. Today I did upload, was it yesterday? Maybe it was yesterday. I uploaded a video of Israeli prospect Yamadar. I think that he could be a guy that team should pick.
Yes.
Yeah, I think he's a player that team should take a flyer on in the second round. He kind of reminds me of a combination of Patrick Beverley and Carlos Arroyo. So that's an interesting combination.
So is having two LakerToms, which you had on here for a couple seconds.
That threw me off.
Well, LakerTom, Sean, I'm going to go ahead and interrupt. But again, check out Rafael's site, NBA Draft Junkies, and also his Run the Floor podcast as well. LakerTom, before we lose you for the 70th time on this show,
Sorry about that, Gerald.
No worries, my friend. It makes for great live television. But I want to ask you this. Maybe we can go ahead and see what we can do to vote this November. And hopefully one of the things we can vote on is better internet coverage for us nationwide. But anyways, LakerTom, I want to ask you this, my friend. What are you up to at LakerHolics.com? I want to hear Rafael and I always take bets on how many things you have in the chamber. Ready, just cocked and loaded right there. What do you got?
No,
I'm guessing 5. I'm guessing 5. I know Rafael probably said high.
Actually, 5 is actually the right number.
Yes.
Oddly enough, one of the problems that I ran into is that I ran into it on Medium because basically I've got so many things in work at different levels, and Medium posts them based upon their original date that I did them. So they're coming out chronologically out of order. But I'm working on a piece of Dwight and Rajon being the unknowns that the Lakers have come across. I obviously spent a lot of time on the whole JaVale McGee situation, and I've been making a lot of comments on the site, drawing a lot of conversation in that direction. Eric Pincus, actually, who's one of the top reporters for the Lakers, actually brought up the subject that he thought that Vogel might actually start JaVale. His logic was based upon his good performances back in November and December, which was the last time the Lakers played the Heat, which really just gave me shivers to think that a head coach would make a decision to start JaVale McGee based upon 2 games 9.5 months ago versus a guy who just came in and played 2 of the best games that we've seen all year.
Does it concern you, though, that this team, the Miami Heat, capitalizes on the free throw line better than anyone? So Dwight Howard, you and I both know Dwight Howard is very prone to get cheap fouls.
True, but the other side of it is if they try to throw a 2-3 zone against the Lakers, that is going to be disastrous because if you went back and looked, Pete Zayas of Laker Film Room had a great video from back in the November game when they threw that zone against us. And the way you break that zone basically is to get somebody at the free throw line who can really distribute the ball or threaten. And that's LeBron James and Anthony Davis. In that particular series, there was dunk after dunk underneath from McGee and from Howard as they won that game 95-80, I think. That was a home game for the Lakers. But get the ball to LeBron. They took a little bit of time to understand what was happening, as most teams do when they get thrown have a zone thrown against them. But basically, they ended up getting the ball to LeBron or AD at the free throw line. AD shoots 85% from that spot. And it's just like 3 is greater than 2, but not when the guy shooting 2 is shooting 85%. So I think that the Heat really still have a problem. And I think I don't think they can throw the zone against the Lakers. And their best hope is probably to try to build a wall the way that other teams have and hope that the Lakers 3-point shooters, who have won 12 of 12 games when they shoot over 30%, and they've shot over 30% on 12 of the 15 games. So it's going to be a tough hole for the other thing that everybody keeps forgetting is the bubble helps teams that have young players because they don't have to play in front of the fans. They don't have to have that pressure that comes from all of the fans screaming and finishing a game 7 or the first 2 games in a hostile arena. But the simple fact is the pressure does mount and ratchet up as you get deeper into the playoffs. The Heat shot 39% in the first round, 37% in the second round, 32% in the third round. That pressure is going to get bigger and bigger in this series. And the Lakers have 5 guys who have extensive finals experience. The Heat have 0. That's a big factor when you come down to a final closeout, 4 games to go, and you have LeBron James, who's been in more finals than 27 of the 30 NBA teams. And anybody who doubts that LeBron is probably as hungry for this championship as any he has had been in his 17-year career, it is really almost a laugh to think that the Heat are going to survive.
Go ahead, Rafael.
Yeah, I don't think the finals experience means a lot. I mean, Golden State had absolutely 0, and they ran off, what, was it 3? 3 out of?
Yeah, but they had 3 superstars. Name those 3 superstars on the Miami Heat.
Well, did we
They've got
consider them
one guy who's a superstar.
in 2015? I don't think we considered them superstars in 2015. Only one was an all-star.
Well, who besides Adebayo is going to emerge like that?
I mean, well, Butler's an all-star. I mean, Hero could end up have a Klay Thompson type activity, performance or career. I just think that
Fifth seed has never won the NBA Finals. Never.
Yeah, I mean, I get it from that point.
Yeah, but you're saying there's actually been a 6 seed that has. So you're saying it like it's
one 6 seed.
It's a bubble. We've never had a bubble before either.
Yeah. So if I'm not mistaken, I think AD has shot. I think it's 14 for 32 or 12 for 30%
or something like that.
Something like that from three. So he's shooting well over 38%. He wasn't shooting the three ball all that well throughout the season.
No, about 30% clip, like I said earlier.
Yeah.
Right.
So if he's shooting, around 35% from three, and he's still shooting that, ridiculous 50% from mid range on 50% of his shots, I mean, there's not much he can do with that. And that's the problem that they have. He's efficient at all three levels, and when he's at least efficient in two of the three, and you have LeBron James and a cast of other good players, it's difficult to beat this team.
Rafael,
do you think that AD is going to take Bam out to the 3-point line? Because I've read a couple of articles where they sort of have alluded to that being the Lakers' strategy if Bam decides to guard him.
Yeah,
I don't know what they do with Howard then underneath.
Well, they wouldn't be playing Howard because Bam would be guarding Dwight Howard.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing.
Who's going to guard AD then?
Well, they'll throw Crowder. They'll throw one of the big guys as far as their 6'7". They could even bring out Olynyk on him. But
I think what's going to happen is Rondo and LeBron are going to do a lot of headhunting for these guys.
Oh, I'm sure they will. That's what you're going to see pretty much throughout the series. Rafael, I know you had something you want to say before we go ahead and.
I was just talking about how, in 2015, we didn't think Draymond was a superstar or Klay or any of those guys. We respected it once they won. And, I think Hero could be a future all-star. Bam is developing into one of the best bigs in the game. And so I think that a lot of people are really underestimating Miami, which is exactly how they wanted. If you poll, 10 Laker fans, 5 games at the most, Miami doesn't stand a shot. Like,
we got 2 guys right here with 6.
Well, he's got a point, Rafael does, because Kendrick Nunn was a first-team All-Rookie, and he didn't even play. And they could put him out at any point in time. Same thing with Derrick Jones Jr., who played some admirable defense over the course of the playoffs. They have some players on that team as far as versatility is concerned. Are they LeBron and AD? No, but they can pick up fouls. Just the same kind of thing that you were talking about against Jokic. It can work opposite against us. So it's something that we have that the Lakers have to guard against is silly fouls and keeping LeBron and AD effective out the floor. That's the thing. And then obviously trying not to commit too many fouls. If they keep the free throw disparity close, that's a big win for the Lakers because, again, you're talking about the number 1 team going to the free throw line in the Miami Heat. You got to go ahead and make sure that you go ahead and at least minimize that difference as best as possible while still maintaining your advantage on the boards and your height. So hopefully we'll go ahead and see that. But before we head on out, guys, I know LakerTom, like I said, has got a lot of things going on at LakerHolics.com and his Medium articles as well. So you want to go ahead and check out what he's doing at LakerHolics.com. Sean, a.k.a. Magic Man. But yes, go ahead, Rafael.
Yeah, I wanted to add, I think that Dragic is underrated. I mean,
Absolutely.
Let's say if you go by the last 3 years, Miami has had more All-Stars than the Lakers.
Yeah.
Dragic was an All-Star a couple years ago. Butler was. Bam was this year.
And since he got into the starting lineup, he's been playing really well.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they were.
He's their best player right now.
Yeah, so I think it goes 2 ways. I think the Lakers are playing JaVale a lot of minutes, and during the
2.6
season
in the last game.
to save AD to play a bigger role in the playoffs. Right?
He's not going to play.
fair? Right,
JaVale's
but I'm
gonna
saying
be a
like
DNP.
He was talking
all
about
season long.
All season.
All season long, you know, they're not playing the same rotations that they played all season. Right?
No,
and
maybe.
so I think that Miami may have been doing the same thing. Dragic is older. He might be 34. Was Kendrick Nunn playing a lot more minutes to save Dragic for the playoffs?
Myers Leonard has only played 9 minutes in the entire playoffs. He was actually their starting center for the season.
Started 51 games. Yeah. So I think they've been doing a little smoke screen. I think that the problem that the Lakers may have with Goran is that he's so aggressive. He's looking to attack every play, and he's the type of player, depending on how the refs call it, he can get AD or Dwight or any guys in foul trouble in 2 bang-bang plays early. And I think especially Dwight. I think Dwight is going to alter some shots, but I can see Dwight getting in foul trouble pretty fast this game because Miami has some irritants. You know, like Houston maybe had a little, but he didn't play that much. In Portland, you saw him getting into it with Carmelo, and then once he got in his head, he started picking up dumb, crazy fouls. I think Miami has a couple guys that are some irritants that can make Dwight do some stupid stuff. So he's going to make 1 or 2 crazy turnovers a game. But yeah, I think
so it might be up to your guy, LakerTom, JaVale McGee. You never know.
I don't think they want to play him, but I wouldn't be shocked if they have to play him. They shouldn't. I mean, I just think that JaVale should not play a minute. I'm with LakerTom on that one. You can always play AD and Morris together. It should be under no circumstances where or JaVale plays, but I wouldn't be shocked if he does.
Well, I do agree with you, Rafael, that I've always wanted Goran Dragic on the Lakers. And
you have said that.
The fact that he's priced himself well out of the MLE with how well he's played. But it still comes down to experience. You can't make the jump. And it's only the bubble that has allowed the Heat to get to this point in time. They've had the biggest benefit from being in the bubble, and it's been their young players. It's been Hero and Robinson who've really shined, and Adebayo's really come along and is an outstanding player. But you got so much experience on the Lakers with LeBron and Rondo and even AD, though this is his first finals. He's been playing great, and he's got more playoff games right now in this series than he's had in his entire career. I think the deck is still too stacked, and experience. The bubble may have minimized experience in the first 3 rounds, but this is the NBA Finals. No matter how you slice and dice it, it's the NBA Finals, and the pressure is going to be on these guys, knowing that they got 4 games to win, and if they lose 4 games, they are out.
Well, let me just go ahead and end it like this then. First off, Jamie Sweet, thanks so much for watching. I know you couldn't make it on tonight, but I wanted to read some of the comments that he had. He would say that if the Lakers can stay healthy and get even to a plus production from their bench, then the Lakers have a solid chance of bringing home the gold. He also mentioned the free throw line is where the series will be won or lost. Again, Miami is going to probably shoot more free throws during the whole series. That's I think going to be pretty much a given. But if the Lakers can cut down that margin to as small a window as possible, that's to the benefit of the Los Angeles Lakers.
If the Lakers prevent the Heat from shooting at least 100 free throws, I believe they'll win the series.
There's no way Miami should shoot more free throws than the Lakers.
No.
The Lakers are bigger. They're going to be more aggressive. They're going to attack the rim. I don't think they're going to pull AD out in the perimeter.
Well, I'm hoping that that's the case and that the Lakers will actually win the free throw battle. I'm just going by off what the analytics have said and what the average number of free throw attempts per game, which is an advantage big time on the Heat. But if that's the case, I would love to see that it shrunk even further, or even the Lakers getting the lead on that one. I wanted to go ahead and finish what Jamie was trying to say. Dragic is going to be a problem. Obviously, like you were saying, Tom, he thinks Miami has to go small and go 5 out in order to force Dwight Howard to the bench. That's also a possibility as well. But when it comes down to it, and we're going to head on this as far as for all you guys. I'm going to let Jamie Sweet talk about his prediction right now. He predicts the Lakers in 6. So before we head on out, I want to go ahead and hear from each one of you guys your predictions. Sean, a.k.a. Magic Man, you can check out what he's doing today at LakerHolics.com. I want to hear your final thoughts.
It's a hell of a matchup, Gerald. It's a matchup I wanted to see as a hardcore NBA fan. This is the Heat, the Lakers, the best in the West, the best in the East. I think it's going to be too much for Miami to overcome AD. I think it's a bit of a long series, but I like the Lakers in 6.
There you go. There's one right there for you. Agreement with Jamie Sweet. Somewhere Jamie is probably, giving you a high five virtually because he agrees with you. My good friend Rafael Barlowe, who's been with me, and first off, I want to again thank him for his entire patience and with me, entire playoffs. We've been doing this each and every time out. Cannot thank him enough, and I do owe him a great debt of gratitude for it. The NBA Finals are here, my friend. So here we go. All right, I want to hear your thoughts, final thoughts, and a prediction on the NBA Finals.
Lakers in 7.
Hey, Lakers in 7. There you go, going all the way, going the distance. But he has the Lakers pulling out in 7. That's already something that people are getting excited about because I know you and I are both concerned about the versatility that the Heat bring. He has the Lakers in 7, Magic Man and Jamie Sweet in 6. LakerHolics.com is also blessed with all the great, wonderful 15,000 articles that LakerTom brings to you each and every week at LakerHolics.com. A lot of articles, I'll just say that. So, my friend, you've been very gracious to go ahead and fight through your internet to try and stay on the show today. So, before we head on out, I thought I'd give you the last word on our panel, outside of myself. What do you have the finals as and your final thoughts on this series?
Well, you can always tell if you listen to what Jamie and Sean both come out with because they're both kind of glass half empty guys. So I always figure that they've added, one more game on there just to balance things out. So they're really predicting the Lakers in 5. And I was thinking about it. Mrs. LakerTom actually predicted the Lakers the sweep.
Wow.
I'm going to stick with the 5 as a magic number because I was right against the Blazers, and we took the Blazers in 5. I had the Nuggets in 5. I had the Rockets in 5. So I can't go away from the Lakers in 5.
Well, for me, I will just say this. Again, if you could check out my great and awesome interview with Jeff Pearlman, author of the #1 sports biography book on Amazon, 3 Ring Circus. I hope you get a chance to do so because it's really good. And yes, before we head on out, I got to go ahead and give my thoughts. I think it's going to be too much LeBron, too much AD. And you know what, Tom? My prediction is going to be right on the money because I feel I'm not giving them an extra game. It is going to be 6. So for Rafael Barlowe, Sean Grice, a.k.a. Magic Man, and LakerTom, we truly appreciate everyone listening out there to us here at the Lakers Fast Break. If you have any questions, Rafael Barlowe is at Barlow500. LakerTom is at LakerTom on Twitter. Sean Grice, you can hit him up at Magic Man on LakerHolics.com. And, of course, myself at Lakers Fast Break on Twitter. If you have any questions, comments, you don't like us at all, whatever, please just share us your thoughts on Twitter today. Here we go, guys. NBA Finals coming up tomorrow night. We're so excited. Lakers back in the NBA Finals. Will they do it? We'll find out, and we'll give you a recap of Game 1 tomorrow night right here at the Lakers Fast Break.